So thank you for letting me come in today to talk to you about Leadership Club. I've obviously had some opinions on it and how we can change it. So this is my presentation about Leadership Club and a new start to it. So what is Leadership Club? I actually did some research into other schools in the area, and obviously I backed off of what you've told me to find out what Leadership Club is and what it's truly known for. And it's obviously a club known for like planning many of different events. Like obviously for us, we do the 5K and dances, and then other schools do like wide community events like pill drops and stuff like that. And then we also set up meeting times like on our own along with you, or like in the past we did with Reuter, because obviously as leaders we are supposed to like take a part in that and like play a big role. So we do that as well. And then we also find ways to get more involved in our community, like in many more ways than one. Like whether it is planning the dances or something else outside of school, we just try to stay like very active and stuff. And then we also like learn how to make our own decisions and like grow more as a person and people, because obviously the goal of being a leader is to like show that leadership responsibility. So you're learning all those different ways that you can be more involved and active. And then obviously, as you know, what we've been responsible for in the past, we've been responsible for our two main things. We've had Winter Ball and then the Superhero Stomp 5K. And Winter Ball my freshman year was very much a joke. I remember it was still a very formal dance, like everybody wore like nice dresses, or like guys wore nice shirts with ties, and we had like maybe 40 people show up, and it was just like very bad, like it wasn't good at all. So my sophomore year, we took the liberty of taking Winter Ball and turning it into something completely different. So we decided to add a theme, which was Galaxy, and it was really good. We had like over 100 people come. People came in a variety of outfits because it was so relaxed, and it was really fun, and we thought that would be the same coming into my junior year. But as you know, it was not, because we sold a lot of tickets, but it just didn't end up going as planned, and the dance just wasn't very good for some reason, and I don't know why it was so different from the year prior, but obviously something happened. But involved in all the planning, like we obviously had to find a DJ. Like I remember my sophomore year, we broke up into committees, and different committees had different jobs, like buying the supplies, finding the DJ, and like getting people organized on a spreadsheet to come in and decorate. So those were like all the things we were involved in. Like the total student senate decorated the hallway, but we also did help with that too, so that was big. And then the Superhero Stomp 5K, in the past, Zoe Goodmanson and Jordan Schlender have played a very big role in that. Like they have done a ton for it. Like they would send out the spreadsheet for people to come volunteer, and they would like find the t-shirt orders and supply them, and think of the different activities to do, like face painting or coloring with like the kids. So they were like very on top of that, and so were Joey Thomas and Justin Krause last year. They were very involved. But after like they've graduated, nobody's really stepped up for that role, and like it's still a big part of the community, because obviously it's for those kids that are battling like strong diseases, and it means a lot to them. So I feel like we need to find ways to like help improve our active like involvement in that too as well. And then what we have known Leadership Club as, we've basically known it as the planning for our two big events. Like in the months leading up to Winter Ball, you plan for Winter Ball, and in the months leading up to the 5K, you plan for the 5K. Like you don't do much else outside of that. It's just mainly those two big things. And like you said, it was the free breakfast. A lot of people did come for the bagels. Like that was a little bit irritating, as some people would use it like to their advantage. Like, oh, like if I come, like I can get a bagel and I don't have to do anything else. But that's obviously not the case. Like they need to be actively involved in participating. And we're also like learning ways to become a strong leader. Like we did watch a few videos, like Mr. Reuter would show us some videos here and there on how we could like represent ourselves better in this school. And we did do a few like worksheets, like we would fill out like what do we think we're doing right now, or like how we could improve. But we didn't do that as often as I feel as though he wanted to, but it was an element as well. And then where we are failing to be true leaders, we are no longer very involved at the school at this moment. As you know, we haven't had a meeting in a while, and we did talk about that a little bit, as the meeting we did have last time was very low in attendance and people were not coming. So we need to find ways to improve that overall. And then we're no longer in charge of like Winter Ball, because like you said, it just wasn't very good at all last year. So we needed to find something else to like replace that, because we still need to be involved in something. But if it's not Winter Ball, like what else do we need to get involved in? And there's no volunteers specific to our group. Like, you know how NHS has their hours and Key Club has their hours, but Leadership Club isn't really known for much. It's more of like participate, show up, do a couple things, but there's nothing really specific to our group. And we are not living up to our responsibilities and duties as a whole, because as a part of this group, you are elected as a leader of your team. Like, you are on like the varsity level and you show like strong leadership in your sport, but we all come together in this meeting and some people don't demonstrate that at all. And they're there for a purpose, but they need to show it, and sometimes we just don't, and it's lacking, and we need to improve that too. But that is the old Leadership Club, and I have gotten opinions from other students as well as pitched ideas myself on how we can improve it. So now I will present the new ideas that we have to like transform Leadership Club in the future. So these are my current ideas. I said we can get involved with more things in just our athletics and our academics. So an example I used was Travis Bentley. He is like a star basketball player and he's also very good at math. And I said with this, he could be involved in youth clinics and help out with younger kids like in basketball, but he can also be actively involved in tutoring younger kids, and it can be through Leadership Club. Like, people would know that it's through Leadership Club so that they have like that knowledge that, oh wow, like this is actually a club that's doing something like great for our community and our school. And he 100% backed me up, and I will go into that later, but we thought that was a really strong idea for now. And then I said we should be more involved in talking to the middle school about the transition from the middle school to high school sports, because as you know, in middle school, the workload is definitely not as heavy as you will get in high school. You will have more tests and more summatives and more projects. So I wanted to be more involved in like having some representatives go over and talk about this is what it's going to be like when you transition, and here's how you can balance it, because you are a full-time student and a part-time athlete, and you need to remember that and not put things before other important items in your life. And we need to make ourselves more known in ways like different than others, and those are the ideas that I have coming up on the next slide from other members. So I talked to a few members in the club, but there were 3 ideas that really stood out to me coming from Kennedy Osterman, Casey Schlitt, and Travis Bentley. And Kennedy definitely agreed with my idea of going to the middle school and talking with them more. And she thought about addressing heavier topics like your suspension, alcohol, or drug use, and how it can truly affect you in your sport. Because as you know, like juuling is very popular and stuff, and kids don't realize that when they do that, and if they fail a drug test, it messes everything up for their sports career. And we wanted to express how important that is and how you need to live up to your responsibilities as you're committed to the sport. And then Casey Schlitt also went off of mine and Kennedy's idea, actually, of like a hype gang at the different sporting events, because she feels as though there are some sports that truly do not get the recognition they deserve. So she wanted to kind of, as Leadership Club, group together and figure out ways to get really packed stadiums, or like have everybody show up to a game. And she brought up the idea like fill the hill for boys soccer. Like, that worked super well. Like, a ton of people showed up. It was a great game and it was like super fun. And she said, why can't we do that for more sports than just boys soccer? Like, what about girls swim or girls soccer or other sports that tend to be like overlooked? Like, she wanted like an improvement there. And then Travis really backed up my idea of the whole academic and athletic aspect of like participating in a youth camp and then also tutoring. And he suggested that for these youth camps, like make it open to a clinic, and not just for select sport kids, but any kid that wanted to try. Like, he said some students like may be scared that, oh, I'm not good at this sport, like I don't want to do it. But he wants to be in an environment where it's like very inclusive and like everybody can be involved, because there is like that nervous tension when you're that young, like, oh no, like what are they gonna think? But he wanted it to be like really like special for them, and like so they could be relaxed and just have fun with it, since at that age you just want to have fun. Like, you don't want to be super stressed. Like, it's something, a learning experience. And then with the tutoring, he also offered that we pair that with the guidance office, because he said he's been involved in tutoring in the past, where when he got a younger boy, they paired them together because he really liked sports. So he said we could also use that to our advantage. Like, we could try to figure out, oh, if this girl's a runner and like I'm a runner, like we could talk about that when we're not tutoring. And like I could talk to her on a personal level and it would be like more relaxed for her. And yeah, that was his overall idea. So I really liked that too and built off of it. And thank you so much for listening. Those are the ideas I have, and I hope we can see an improvement in the future.
Yeah, awesome. Awesome.